So just a few things that I did want to mention. Um, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as we know, was a revolutionist. Like he was born with a mission, and he was very empowered acharya. He, and I think what really amazed me about him is that before he pushed on this the mission, of Gaudiya Vaishnavism philosophy to the world, he he vowed, um, he took a vow to chant 1 billion rounds just just to prepare for his mission, just to prepare to. This is just preparation, and it took 9 years to complete 1 billion rounds. And that's when I was thinking about that. That's as long as it takes to be a doctor. So I was just
Wow.
I couldn't understand that, how one can be so committed and really believe in Krishna's mercy to say, I am going to vow to chant 1 billion rounds, and not because of some speculative idea or thought. It was because he really believed that I need Krishna's mercy in order for anything to happen. And so he, in order for this to come true and to happen, I need Krishna's mercy, and he did that by chanting. So he chanted Hare Krishna, and it was just so nice to hear that, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he really believed in integrity and and uh, and authenticity. So integrity and authenticity, and he said that that a person can't really be authentic if they're not um, behaving in the way that I'm sorry, if they're not if what they're saying is not also replicating in their behavior.
Mm.
So he really was big on that, and so he felt that. So when I heard that, I really understood how much he really believed in that, because um, the integrity and the authenticity of really spreading this, Gaudiya Vaishnava to the world was really, for him, he couldn't really do that without really practicing what he's preaching himself, what he's really giving away, and that's devotional service to Krishna. That's worshiping Krishna, and then why we worship Krishna, because nothing, not even a blade of grass, moves without the will of Krishna, and he knew that. So by chanting those for 9 years, 1 billion rounds, was what was that authenticity that made him, that made it such a powerful movement, that really set the standard for this philosophy. And so I just felt so inspired by that, and I feel it gives me more faith in my chanting and more faith in the mercy of Krishna. Um, and I just feel very inspired by him, and I am more connected to him. And I think it's only because of you, Prabhuji, that I even started to get to just hear, when more with more humility, because I really didn't have anything to say. I didn't know anything, but I just said something must inspire me. Something must um, make me want to be a better devotee. And that was that one thing for me, that how much he prepared for this mission. And by that preparation really showed me that he believes, for it's a fact that we need Krishna's mercy to do anything in this world. And um, and so I'm hoping that I can one day believe that, and so that is all I have to share, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. This is amazing. Thank you.
You are,
So actually, what you just mentioned, the point is so important and valid, because the holy name is the basis of the moment. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, uh, when he came, he did not write books, basically. He started the holy name. Sankirtanayaka Pitaro Kamalaya Daksho. He started with the holy name. So to start on a basis of the holy name, it's a very, very authentic way to start anything. And Prabhupada also, when he was there, he had only pair of kartals and sitting under the tree. That's how he started Hare Krishna mission in West. It was, as you all know, that he just went and sat under the tree and just began kirtan, and that's how people were slowly getting attracted towards his chanting. So chanting is really the basis. If you want to, if all of us want to grow in San Antonio, the basis of the is the holy name. And anytime if we are in distress, we just in all 9 processes of devotional service, in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Arshanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atyam, Nivedana. All, oh man, Hare Krishna. All this basis is the holy name. It's that's how it is. So if we actually understand the basis, and then you can see how when the great personalities they come, and when they leave, there is a gap, there is a fall of everything. Just like when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and when he left, there were a lot of people they lost vision. They didn't know how to follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. They were Apasiddhant. They were different deviations started. They were actually thinking that they were trying to worship their original identity, like people were becoming Radha and Krishna and Gopas and Gopis and peacocks and whatever. So it was all messed up. That's how they thought that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is like that. They misunderstood. And some people thought that jati bhed, that means those who are born in Brahmin, only they are allowed. All others, they may be following, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a great soul, but we are not. So we have to follow whoever are born very elite class, only they can follow the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So they deviated. So you can see that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and there was another great soul, I forget his name, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Vidyabhushan came. They had a beautiful poetry. They wrote the commentary and they make it poetic and so many wonderful way. But when they left, again the whole deviation they became. And finally at the Bhakti Vinod Thakur, when he arrived, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, uh, in fact, nobody wanted to be a follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time. Did you know that? Nobody wanted to be a follower because there was so much deviation. People thought, oh, this is just Sahajiya followers and everything. So actually, all Bhakti Vinod Thakur actually brought back, he had a hard time finding the copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you imagine? He barely could find a copy of original Chaitanya Charitamrita written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. That was the state. It was completely deviated. So, and then from there, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, they just say, I can't do it alone. I'm a Grihastha. I have. So he prayed to Lord Jagannath, and he prayed, and by mercy of Lord Jagannath, Bhakti Vinod Thakur was born. He appeared. Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared. So his name was named after Varsha Bhanavi Devi. That's his initiated name. So he was known as Vimal Prasad. That was his birth name. Vimal Prasad, and later he was initiated by Varshabhanavi Devi Das. So Vimal Prasad means that he was a. If you go to Jagannath Puri, there is a Jagannath, and then there is another thing called. There is a goddess Parvati's deities is there. It is called Vimala Devi. So then he was so he Bhakti Vinod Thakur named his son as Vimal Prasad. Is Prasad means, as you know, is a Vimala Devi's Prasad. And when he was born, it was very, very different than all other ordinary children, how they are born. So when his umbilical cord was stuck like a Brahmin thread around his neck. And it is a Brahminical. He had, when he was born, his umbilical cord like a Brahminical thread. Amazing. And then he was born as per the stars are there. The Ketu is on 12th place. That means those who are very liberated souls are only born with Rahu and Ketu. There's the Ketu is on 12th ground. That means that's the great soul has actually appeared.
Ah.
If in the birth chart Ketu is in 12, that's they are Nitya Siddhas. They are associate of the Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna. So and he was so brilliant from the as soon as he was born, there was Jagannath Ratha Yatra, and the famous story, who doesn't know this? Everyone knows. Whole Jagannath, there was thousands of people. In fact, there was a king. He thought that I'm going to move 10,000 elephants with Jagannath. So he tried to move the entire Jagannath cart with 10,000 elephants, but he couldn't move it. That's how the strength of that cart is, imagine. So Jagannath cart moves on its own. It does not need, you can move with 10,000 elephants, it will not move if it doesn't want to. That's Lord Jagannath. Amazing. So the whole cart procession was going on. It was going on, and right when he was Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying at that time Jagannath Puri, right at the house, the cart stopped, and nobody could move. If Jagannath doesn't want to move, forget it. They couldn't move. They said what to do. So wife of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought back the little son to offer obeisances, and they were allowed, since he was superintendent of Jagannath temple. So they were allowed to go on a cart. As soon as they went on a cart, the garland fell of Jagannath, and directly it garland on a little Vimala Prasad. It was, and then they came to know, my God, this doesn't happen. It is not coincident, but it is a will of the Lord. So he was such a brilliant, and one day when his father had brought little mangoes, a few mangoes, and he loved mangoes. So what happened was he ate the mango by mistake without they were not offering, they were bhog actually. So he ate one mango, and then his father told, "Oh, Vimala Prasad, you ate mango. It wasn't offered." So what that child did, so that he decided the lifelong vow that I will never taste mango in my life ever. It's like if we eat little chips here, we don't take lifelong vows of not eating chips for the rest of the life. But Vimal Prasad, as you can imagine, his determination. These are all Nitya Siddhas. I was just hearing on other day also when birth ceremony of Narottam Das Thakur. When he was brought in, when there was a Annaprashan ceremony, they prepared a very nice kheer and everything, and Narottam Das Thakur wouldn't eat. He wouldn't eat, Narottam. We wouldn't eat. So finally, one Brahmin came with the prasadam of the deities, and as soon as he tried to feed him, he gulped everything and he ate the entire thing, Narottam. So anyway, that's his today's Lord Narottam. But these great souls, they are already devotees, just like when I see Mohanji also, they are devotees from the birth. They don't need to do a lot of struggle like us. So anyway, so he learned the Surya Siddhanta. Surya Siddhanta, when he was very young, he learned so many wonderful topics, and he, in fact, uh, uh, he actually did a commentary on the what is that Brahma Samhita. It's originally commentary was done by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So when he showed to his father, so he said, "How many copies to print?" He said, "Oh, 2 copies. Uh, one for the Lord and one for yourself." That's it, because nobody else will understand. that's all. That's all you make copies of. Only 2 copies I was allowed. So anyway, so he when he turned out, he when he was in college, he started a club, and he started a celibacy club, and he was the only member, and no one else could join his club. He was the only person in his club. so, and, so anyways, because it was completely different from all other people. So, and he studied the Surya Siddhanta. He became a great astrologer. In fact, he wrote that book, Surya Siddhanta, where he was astronomically calculating different things, stars and other stuff. And he learned so many different languages and studied very early. He was such a brilliant scholar. But he wasn't really happy for whatever he had learned, because they was thinking, if I'm learning all this, it's like, as 15.1 chapter, it says that this material world, there is the leaves, the branches are downwards, is spreading, and the leaves and the roots is upward, right? The 15.1 Ashwatha, the banyan tree, represents. So the leaves are like a Vedic hymns. So even though we learn different rituals and Vedic hymns, this is still in material world. It's still in material world. So people, when they study different things about Vedas and other things, but it is, it's still part of Vedic hymns. So he wasn't happy. And then very soon, then he asked his father, "I've studied so much, but I don't feel satisfied. My soul is still hankering for something." Just like Narad Muni, just like, what's his name? Vyasadev's was actually, he wasn't satisfied after writing Mahabharata and all this Vedas. And the same way Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wasn't really happy. He wasn't thinking, "Oh my God, I feel like there's something missing in my life." So then father said, "Yeah, you got to take initiation." But he did not say that he was himself was initiating. Bhakti Vinod Thakur was, but he did not recommend that. But then he recommended Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. But he was like same as similar category of Narottam Das Thakur's spiritual master. His name was Loknath Das. Yes, Loknath Das Goswami. So Loknath Das Goswami wasn't giving initiation to anybody. You know that. Yeah, because he had one initiate and he did not turn up, so he decided lifelong I'm not going to give initiation. And here is Narottam Das determined to take initiation from Lokanath Das, and then he started cleaning his waste in the middle of the night, and he amazing service he did. Narottam, and then finally he detected and said, Narottam, you're a prince, what are you doing? I said, oh my God. And then finally Mahaprabhu appeared and he said, no, you must give initiation to Narottam. So something similar happened to Bhakti Vinod Thakur or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also. So he wasn't willing to give anybody initiation. Imagine somebody spiritual, this is very interesting. A spiritual master is illiterate and a disciple is a learned scholar like Bhakti Siddhanta, like Varsha Bhanavi Devi. He's like a prolific scholar and that time. Nobody can come anywhere close. And he's taking initiation from somebody who was illiterate. Cannot even spell his own name properly, that kind of thing. So when he approached, he said, what are you talking? I'm just illiterate. I can't even give you initiation. Sorry, you go find someone else. Then Bhakti that time, Vimal Prasad said, what is the use of my life? What is the use of my life if I don't get Guru? If I'm not able to take shelter of the spiritual master, my life has no meaning. I should just end my life. If you don't give me initiation, I'm going to commit suicide. There's no, and you are responsible. It's because there's no point. Without spiritual life, Shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahiname. I have no purpose in my life. Without assisting my spiritual master, I just don't have any purpose in life. So finally he agreed. He started crying. Imagine Vimal Prasad, he was taking dust. He was just actually rolling on a dust and he started crying and he said, okay, I'll give you initiation. And then he was initiated. Finally, only one disciple. So, see, there's a parallel between Narottam Das Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Is only one disciple. Of course, he had another one, but the lively and successful disciple was only one for Loknath Das Goswami, and same thing for him. I know one of the peculiar characteristics of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is that anybody who will come to ask for the, Maharaj, please give me a blessing. He said, yeah, I'll give you a blessing. Come. May all the calamities will fall on and your life will be completely destroyed. May you will lose all your wealth and your wife leaves you or children leaves you, and then you'll be completely destroyed. And, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And they will just run away. And sometimes he would, just to avoid the people, sometimes he used to sit in rest areas and chant. Just completely oblivious of external world, actually. And he used to call himself the third party. If somebody asks you, oh, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is going, he would say about himself, oh, he's going there. Third party. So he is not Gaur Kishore Das, he's like third party. Oh, I know Gaur Kishore Das, something like that. So that's amazing. And he was so determined. He was, and one of the condition, this is, of course, you cannot have condition like this. Are you ready for this? One of the condition Vimal Prasad had to find a guru. Oh yeah, this is another story. Was that no? So he was, people were, when they said I'm going to take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das, people tried to sway him. He said he's a crazy man. He's Babaji, this and that. But he said I will not I will leave this body, but I will not take any other guru other than Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. That was his determination. I said, no matter my head will break, no matter what happens, I will not take initiation anyone else other than Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. I said, then everyone asked Vimal Prasad, Bhakti Siddhanta, why? What is there? Are you ready for this? He spoke one quality which is so rare to find among anyone. He said, out of 24 hours, if he would have only chanted 23 hours, I wouldn't have taken initiation from him. He does not even waste 1 hour. He chants 24 hours a day. That means no sleep, nothing, That is the qualification of anyone who wants to be my guru. Wow. that is Bhakti Siddharth Saraswati Thakur. That's just amazing. It's just, of course, he humbled himself. He was just praying and for a very long time, and he was praying to be initiated by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So now you can imagine the joy when he received the name Sri Varshabhanavi Devi. Das. So that was when he started officially preaching. And as you said that he did like 9 years of, before starting, he did 9 years of chanting 1 billion names of God. So now imagine at his point and his stature, personality needs to chant and get purified. Now who we are? What is our qualification? At least mine. At least now. Let's see what is my qualification. It's not, I'm just insignificant. So now you can imagine. So he was later when he when he used to give class. Vimal Prasad, when Bhakti Varshabhanavi Devi, when he was giving the class, he used to attend. His spiritual master was attending. Imagine it, the disciple is giving classes. All the classes were given by disciples. And spiritual master is listening. Oh, yes, this is it. And if he used to hear from the other Babajis, he used to say, money, money, money. I were talking about Krishna, and he would Bhakti Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj would hear money, 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 woman, woman. But Maharaj, he's giving class on Srimad Bhagavatam, but I don't hear anything about Krishna. I hear money, money, money. But they were talking about Bhagavatam. So the thing is, he could hear the consciousness in which people were giving. And at that time, people in a renounced order, he was in complete renounced order. Now, another important principle he re-established. So he said, if I have to preach, I cannot wear loincloth and go in the main cities and everywhere. It's not, I will not be accepted like that. So I'm not going to be renounced yet. But he took the principle of Rupa Goswami, Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya is used everything for the service of the Lord. So he made the dress of sannyas. That was before that, it was only Babaji's. But he made that sannyasi robes, which several sannyasis wear. And he wear tridandis, mind, body, and words, represent the conquering over. And then he actually this happened there. Yeah, this happened after the departure of his spiritual master. He came in a dream, and he told that you should take sannyas. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj told him that you should take sannyas. And by following the order of his spiritual master, in front of the picture, he took sannyas. Now, this is not recommended for anyone here. We can't just take sannyas in front of Radha Swami's picture. Now I declare, and we're beaten up mercilessly. this has to this has to be followed by the previous acharyas. The sannyas is not taken. It is given to you. It is given. You don't take sannyas. You are given awarded sannyas. So when it is right time, and so Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that time he took the name Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he started initiating. And some of the earlier disciples of they were ridiculed. Now this is again a similarity of Narottam Das Thakur. History repeats here. The Narottam Das Thakur had also, he was a Kayastha Brahmin. He was like a little bit, as per the caste, he wasn't very high caste. So when he was initiating, and finally, when it's a long story, but when he departed from this world, at that time, he was laid on a funeral pyre, and the disciples were crying, how my spiritual master has been left. And at that time, some passers-by commented, look at this disciples of this such a they made a very bad comment on Narottam Das Thakur. And this disciple says, Guru Maharaj, we can't tolerate the offenses towards you. You have to help us. And from the funeral pyre came a divine personality. Narottam Das Thakur rose up from the funeral pyre with the golden thread and the effulgence all over. And when those who were actually speaking bad words, they were astonished. They were shocked to see. And then they decided to take in this shelter of Narottam Das Thakur. Amazing. It was Narottam. That's why I love Narottam so much. I just... And finally, he decided after some time, he missed his associate Ramchandra Kaviraj. See, this is devotees. Devotees, they love each other so much that Ramchandra Kaviraj was called. So he felt such such separation. Ramachandra Sange Mange Narottama Das. He writes also in the Prarthana that I'm only looking for the association of Ramchandra Kaviraj. So anyways, here in this, of course, that's a long story. And he finally, two of his disciples, they went to Padmavati and they started bathing him, and his body became milk. Narottam Das Thakur's body became milk, and it started flowing in Padmavati river. Because he was an associate, he was a Vilasa Manjari or Champak Lata. He was his actually duty was to boil milk for Radha and Krishna. So his body became like a milk, and some of the milk, his disciple Ganga Narayan Chakravarti, he took it and it's there in Samadhi Mandir. So that's amazing. That's Narottam. It's beautiful. He had he had the darkest complexion, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally saved the part of love of God. So when Nityanand Prabhu came in the dreams when he became 12 years old, he went in Padmavati river, and the Padmavati river swelled up like a hurricane, and she manifested the part which was saved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with liquid form of Prema Bhakti, imagine, which he received. And when he received it, his whole body became golden. Can you imagine? That is Narottama. His whole body became the golden complexion. So anyway, so it's the same lineage carrying out. So and here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was started initiating, the people around started ridiculing. Oh my God, look at this sannyasi. He's front of his spiritual master's picture. He's taking sannyas and his disciples. And people are becoming disciple. What a craziest thing, because they have never heard and seen anything like this before in that time. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, let dogs bark, but caravan should go on. No, let dog barks, but caravan should go on. So he started preaching very, very heavily. He started preaching very, very heavily among the those people who are Mayavadis and Shunyavadis and everything else, and then he was so much that he became very, very famous among the local people. In fact, people became envious of him, Bhaktisiddhanta, and they were so envious that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the police used to come to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they said that, we want to let you know that please be very, very cautious. They are giving us 40,000 rupees. At that time, it's like billions of dollars. 100 years ago, that much money is quite a bit, quite a bit. It's like, I remember my grandfather was there. In 5 rupees, he would run a 5. Imagine 40,000 rupees given. What is right? That's how famous he was. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So very bold mood of any of would actually very bold. And in Dhaka, one of his disciples and went and blasted Mayavad and everything. So they at this riot, and there was to be a riot.
Prabhuji, you're breaking up. Oh, dang. Prabhuji?
Are you guys there?
Yes, you were breaking up and it just
okay, yeah, that.
But you were saying he was very bold.
Yeah, he was a Simha Guru. He was known as a lion Guru. He was fearless, and his disciples, when they used to publicly blaspheme, he used to say, very good. And there were a lot of criticism. And then he would count in that criticism, if there's more name of Krishna is there, that means the preaching is successful. In criticism, the more name of Krishna, how many he would count, how many names of Krishna is there? Okay, that means our preaching is a great success. Though there is so much criticism over it, doesn't matter. He says, how many names of Krishna has been spoken? That's all is the mission. So now this is a pretty important lesson, Uh, of course, you cannot be at the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur level. But at the same time, we have to understand what we have to propagate is the chanting of the holy names and give others how much ever Krishna we can. So anyway, so his name, and then there are so many things. He used to have a ship, Elizabeth ship, a Taylor ship. He used to rent a queen ship. It's a very expensive ship. He used to rent, and inside the ship, he used to have an exhibition of all Krishna's pastimes. And everybody used to come to just to be in that ship. I don't know what brilliance he had. And he would go in a ship and exhibit different Elizabeth, and then he would go in Mayapur. At that time it was like a dense village, and he would go in a most expensive car in Mayapur. He was heavily criticized. Look at this sannyasi is coming, relaxed. And almost it's like a Ferrari or something like that. I know, most expensive car he would come in, and then he would start. Amazing. He was just highest. The Britishers, they were actually, they were ruling over, but they were only scared of one personality. They couldn't beat him up. That was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Imagine the British government was scared of Bhaktisiddhanta because the one person could expel us. That's a fact. If he starts preaching against us, finished, we are doomed. So they also knew that this person is not an ordinary soul. He can, because of him. So they were very scared of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And they were also respectful. Some of them, but the other one, they were very much. So he was very talented. And one time there was a Brahman Sabha. This is amazing. You probably know this pastime, but I would just for my own pure, but I will end this after. Brahman Sabha means there was a debate between Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur couldn't go, so he asked his son, Vimal Prasad, can you please go? I can't go because I'm very old. So he said, yes, father, I will go. And he went there. And he talked all about Brahmanas. By the grace of Brahmanas, the sea has become salted water. So we can't drink it because Brahmanas have curse. Brahmanas have the ways where we can invoke the mercy of Lord Vishnu. And Brahmanas are the greatest this and that. Everything he was glorifying. The Vaishnava wondering, he's in the side of Brahmanas or his side of Vaishnava. What is he doing? And then after glorifying sufficiently, all Brahmanas were so happy. I said, wow, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's son is glorifying Brahmanas like anything. By worshipping Brahmanas, you get the benefit of worshipping this Lord and all the. That's how the system is, and wonderful. But at the end, he said, but there is a higher truth. Higher truth is that Vaishnavas are much more superior than Brahmanas. And then he started glorifying Vaishnavas. Who are the Vaishnavas? You can feed 1,000 Brahmanas, and one Vaishnava is equal to feeding thousands of Brahmanas. And then he started glorifying, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, the Lord descends in this world, and so many beautiful things. And towards the end, he ended. And both sides, they came running, and there was a riot. I don't know how many times he had a riot. But this time the riot was to take the dust of his lotus feet. So the police intervened, and they said, okay, now there is a big problem here. There are thousands of people want the dust of your lotus feet. So what shall we do? So they got the bucket of the water, And the police with all security, they said, okay, put your feet in a bucket of water and one spoon, everyone gets it in the line. So this was police duty. Imagine that police were distributing Charnamrut because there was riots to take the dust of the lotus feet of Bhakti Siddhanta. So what was Simha Guru? He was like a Simha Guru. Was just roaring like a lion, and that was and when Abhay Babu, that time he was a businessman. When he came to meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he immediately could recognize he is the one. So first instruction was, do you remember instruction? What first instruction?
No.
He gave an instruction that you preach this Sanatan Dharma in Western world. You speak in English, this particular, Sanatan Dharma Bhagavad. You spread this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the West. Now, imagine if you're coming for the first time into any of the temple and somebody tells you, okay, you go in Andaman, Nicobar and spread in the Nicobaran language, you will probably not come back again because you don't know what is it. First of all, you have to spread. You have no idea what it is. So he was like shocked, And then he tried to argue him, but what about India is dependent now? It's under British rule. Abhay Charan was saying, he said, politics will change. Politics will go on, but the Sanatan Dharma is much more. He said politicians will change, but politics will go on. And that is so true. Politicians will change, but politics will still go on. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is much more important than all this politicians and everything else. And then he started contemplating on a message, and then he started thinking. And that's how he changed the heart, just by one sentence. And he was so fired up, and Abhay Charan, our dear Srila Prabhupada, was really impressed and contemplating on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as his spiritual master. So when he used to write, he started Sajjan Toshni as one of the book. He also had 64 maths, and he had several printing presses. And then he used to write 4 languages at one time, 4 dictations at one time. I think I had told. He used to tell 4 people at one time. Imagine 4 people are writing, and he would say, Krishna said, Mahaprabhu said, this one said, that one said, and he would come. By the time they would finish writing, he would tell exactly what is the next statement. That's not normal. You cannot have 4 people taking dictation at the same time. It's practically impossible for any brilliant people. I'm just talking about ordinary. You got the most brilliant person. It needs some really empowerment. So, oh my God, there's so much is there. And then he would actually, then somebody donated the whole, one of his disciples sold all his life saving and gave the, what is it? Bagh Bazaar. He gave a whole marble temple was built. And then later on, towards the end, they were fighting because which room will get, whom will get what rooms and this and that, and devotees became more attached to the facilities. So it's very important. We should be more careful about not facilities, but important about book distribution. So he said, he wrote to Srila Prabhupada, I feel like just tearing down the temple and selling each marble and distribute books. And that was, and then, of course, there's another several story in Bagh Bazaar, but when Srila Prabhupada used to actually be such a scholar, then he used to say that we should become temple president. He said, no need. By the course of time, he will do everything. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur knew it. And whenever he used to go to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to take people for Padayatra, where they would go for 8-9 hours he would give class. So nobody had the stamina to be there sitting there for 9 hours. We have hard time, 1 hour is enough for us. So they used to go halfway. His disciple used to travel to see the temples in Vrindavan. So, but Srila Prabhupada was never, he wasn't moving a little bit. He loved to listen from his Guru Maharaj. He did not travel. And then he took a notice of that. And then he said, whatever this person speaks, we should write, because he has the ability to listen, hear carefully. If you have an ability to hear carefully, then whatever you speak, you should be.
Prabhuji, I think you accidentally muted yourself.
Oh, sorry.
You're saying
that was,
if a person listens, he can
yeah,
he has a,
whatever he speaks, you should write. And then he used to tell his disciple Bhaktisiddhanta. So you think you can see the Lord through eyes, but you can never see Krishna through your eyes. It's just a exercise for your eyes. You can only see Krishna through ears. That was the instruction given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he also instructed, if you just follow 4 regulatory principles and just chant Hare Krishna in this life, I will personally come and take you back home, back to Godhead. That was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Hari. So, and towards the end, he went in extreme separation from his only one of the 8 principles which Maharaj was saying, that one of them was becoming the dust of the feet and Rupa Raghunath, following the footsteps of Rupa and Raghunath. Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, they are our ideals. And he thought himself he simply wasted his life towards the end. But he actually, I think there was a final instructions were given to Srila Prabhupada, had a letter, and when he heard that his spiritual ma, he cried really bad. And so the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was such a exemplary, such a Simha-guru. But actually he left a mission in the hands of Srila Prabhupada, because he knew that Srila Prabhupada can. He had several other disciples who could go to West also before Prabhupada. Did you know this? But they came back. They couldn't preach. They said, it's too much. What are you talking? They went to London to preach, and they said, nobody would follow whatever we say. 4 regular, impossible. Impossible. And they came back. And so Prabhupada, when he left to West, he said, at least my god brother went to London. They failed, so let me fail in America at least. If I have to fail, at least I'll fail in different country. It was his humility, of course. So this is, there's so many things, but I just have to, if there's anything. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is life and soul. And whenever Srila Prabhupada prepared anything on this auspicious day, one time he prepared halwa, and it was so delicious. The devotees, the disciples or devotees who ate that halwa prepared by parents of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they become speechless. They were like motionless. They were like completely something like this. Everyone, they were like this. They were like shocked. They were like, they couldn't believe it, what they're eating. There was a prema bhakti of Srila Prabhupada was actually there in the cooking the nice halwa for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So what we have received is so precious. We have received, and it is stated the grandfather is more merciful than our father sometimes to the children, grandfather. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we can get more mercy if we actually pray and think about his appearance on this auspicious day. So thank you very much, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Harihu.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Everything I heard, you just made it 100 times sweeter. I almost had to stop you at one point because I was like, this is too much for me.
This is the glory of Bhaktisiddhanta. So imagine what it must be to be with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Wow.
It's just a wow factor. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Andy Prabhu ki jai ho. I think it's
Andy, I don't know if he had something. He did have a few things to share. He shared with me yesterday about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Oh, jai.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry. It's just a poor mimicry. I don't know much, but whatever came from the mind, it wasn't prepared class or anything like that.
That's the best classes, though. I think maybe he'll type it on the group because it is very nice. So maybe share the video or something.
Goes to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So okay, so thank you all very much. I really appreciate. Though there wasn't, but I felt like 1,000 people were still there watching.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Haribol, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare